Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Josi podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josi, and today I'm not alone as I am joined by my friend and coaching colleague, Bruna. We both have completed the training and certification program with CTI, but actually met thanks to social media. Like, I literally still remember when your message flew into my inbox one day and we just clicked and we talked and we went for a walk and it was just so nice. So I'm just so super happy to welcome you today.
Yeah, thank you, Josie. It's just a pleasure to be here and just, to think back to reaching out. It's like, I'd love what you do. Can we chat? And just have walks in Hyde Park and be
Mhm.
connected. And here we are. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Oh, no, I'm so happy to have you. And in today's episode, I would love to pick your brain about priorities and goals because you posted something on your socials the other day. And it was like such a powerful reframe about how instead of saying, I don't have time, to say it's not a priority. And I loved it so much because it gives you that sting around, ouch, like shit,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
But before we dive in, I would love for you to just tell the listeners your story and what they need to know about you. So the stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Josie. Thank you for having me here. So my name is Bruna. I'm actually originally from Brazil, but I came to the UK in London since I was 15. I have a 4-year-old daughter. I have a husband of coming up to 18 years, which is kind of showing my
Wow.
age. I was not a young bride. And I have a passion for helping people. My education is in psychology and psychotherapy. I ended up working in HR for 15 years in tech and professional services. And I've experienced depression, I've experienced burnout, I've experienced anxiety and feeling stuck and feeling directionless. And embarking in a personal transformation of coaching, like kind of really getting to know myself and reconnected with what was really important to me. And back in 2022, I then kind of left my job, took a break, and kind of had a kind of new career of doing this for myself. And um I love working with everyone, but I'm really passionate about working with people, what I call they're experiencing a midlife awakening.
Mhm.
That's not their words. I think people have an aversion to the word midlife because you just have this image of like an old bald man buying a sports car, and there's nothing wrong with that. Go for it. But I think midlife is more a period in your life. It could be in your mid 20s to early retirement where you have life experience behind you to give you some powerful questions about what's really important
Mhm.
to you, what lights you up, and it's a time to kind of embrace change and desiring something different. So you find yourself feeling a bit stuck and a bit directionless because maybe you've got a good job and you've got a family and you've got a nice house, and you're like, I should be so grateful and I've worked so
Mm.
hard for this, but I feel like there's more, and there's this feeling of like the time left for you to do the things in your bucket list.
Yes.
This feeling of time being like not as much as you had when you're in your 20s. And there's just this angst, like this feeling of like, I feel like there's more. I feel stuck and I feel
Mm.
frustrated and I don't know, what to do. But it can be a really empowering time because you're because you have this life experience behind you, you've learned so much and you've got so much experience, and you kind of don't want to compromise anymore. You know what drains you, you know what energizes you, and you get to say no. You get to be
Mm.
like, I don't want to spend time with these people that made me feel like, really shit or crap about myself. And you get to be choosy, or you don't want to do certain things. And like your time is so precious, and that's an empowering thing. So it's a really special time in life.
Mhm.
And I love working with people that kind of going through that stage and transitioning through that, because I call it like this wake up calls, and it's so awakening and it's so exciting to help them see like what's on the other side and reconnect. And which is why I'm so happy to be here today. And like this topic about goals and priorities is so important to everybody, but particularly at this time in life where you feel like a floating leaf and directionless.
Mhm.
Where do I focus? I don't know. So yeah, really excited to dive in.
Amazing. So what do you feel like when you are in this like time period where you feel like stuck or lost and like, as you say, directionless? How would you maybe first even go about finding those goals that you need to make in priority? And why is it important to have a goal when you are in that time? So you get out of this, like, I don't know how to describe, like labyrinth almost.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a labyrinth is a good word, and I love using metaphors to try and describe what
Mm,
we're going through. And a client recently said, and it was so beautiful. So she kind of felt like a leaf, and the wind would take her here, and the wind would take her there. And we built on this metaphor of like, yeah, it's amazing to be a leaf and go with the flow and go here and go there and experience life, but you need to know where your roots are. You need to know
mm,
what grounds you and what's really important to you. And yeah, branch out and have fun, but you know who you are and what's important to you, and you know that your roots are deep. And to answer your question, why is it important to
mm,
have goals is so you're not feeling like a leaf just being blown by, whatever happens around you. And, of course we can't control what happens to us and the circumstances sometimes we find ourselves in. But through knowing yourself and learning mindset tools and learning how to shift perspectives, you can change how you react to those circumstances. And that's incredibly empowering. I'm sure you see that obviously with the work you do with your clients as well. And I think with setting goals, it's, we all have goals and
mm.
it's like, oh, I wanna go to the gym. It's like most people don't want to go to the gym for going to the gym. Like they want to lose weight or they want to
Yeah.
like be fit or not be out of breath when they go up the stairs. Okay, that's what I want to achieve out of going to the
Mm,
gym. That's great. But what does that give you? Kind of the double click into how different do you want to feel? So for me, like being active is important for me, as a 40-year-old mom of a toddler. Like I don't want my knees to be clicking. I want to be able to get up and off the floor when I
mm,
play with her. So to me, it's about being present, being able to be with her. For someone else, might be something different. But this double clicking into what is the real goal? What is the real meaning here? Like, how do I want to feel different? What is that going to give me? You know, knowing that the end goal in how you feel, in how you are, and or what you do helps with the motivation. It gives you the bigger picture, what is your why? And, at the beginning, when you set a goal, when you want to do something, there's
mhm.
the novelty of the goal and there's the excitement in the making of the decision, but life happens and we're busy and, this and that happens. But being able to come back to this is why it's important to me in a really meaningful level will help us keep us motivated at times when that naturally, goes and it naturally falters. And I'll add, like, I'm all for just being in the flow.
Mhm.
I'm a big have always been like wanting to control everything. And I'm also learning how to embrace just being with what's here. I think with setting goals, it's the importance of having that meaningful why is also important so we don't have blinders. No, because if your
Yeah.
goal just too strict and too straight, like you can have these blinders and not fully experience what's here because you're just so focused on the destination and it's
Mm,
oh look at this other thing that's come up, that's exciting, let me give that a go, so not be too tied you know
mhm.
to your goals. It's incredibly empowering as well to be connected with something bigger, with something powerful and
Yes.
meaningful. And I think with goals, sometimes people set really small goals because they think that's what I can achieve. And you'll be familiar with
Mhm.
this. And it's like we say, dream big. Like it's okay. Like allow yourself, give yourself permission to just go big. And people don't because think, well, I'm never gonna get that. So
Yeah, they immediately stop themselves and keep themselves small.
yeah, and you're pre-failing
Mhm.
by just thinking of all the things that could go wrong. And whilst that's true, like in some extent, whatever you dream big, you may never get that thing, but it's high enough to get you to aim big. And I actually have it here next to me. There's this saying in Portuguese, and it says, quem não tenta alcançar as estrelas não tira o pé da lama. And it doesn't translate as nicely,
Mhm.
but I'll actually show you. It's super cute, and I'll send you a picture. But like, if you don't reach for the stars, your feet stay stuck in the mud.
Oh,
And
I love that.
it sounds much into Portuguese, but it's about just reach high and and aim high, because that will give you momentum and that will give you excitement as well. And I think going back to the clients that I work with, being in this kind of midlife and this mindset,
Mhm.
feeling a bit stuck and feeling a bit directionless, having purpose and direction can become quite blurred, because you don't know. It's like, okay, because you have all your goals, who you are, your roles that you play, excuse me, as a mom, as a partner, as an
Yeah.
accountant, whatever you do in your community. But it's like, actually, particularly with women, you kind of like, you're
Mm.
always last in the priority list. We just have this thing. And it's kind of reconnecting with that meaning, and, having strong goals, gives us that clarity and a roadmap to navigate, this pivotal stage, and it empowers you to take control and create this life that you desire, and just avoid that
Yes.
feeling of being stuck in a drift. And there's this really strong theme of empowerment. Like, no one's gonna do it for you. Like, take charge,
Mhm. Mhm.
make decisions.
I
So
love I love what you say there. Like take charge. That's literally what I say at the end of the podcast in the outro. Like tune in and take charge because you gotta take one ownership of your goals. And setting a goal is taking ownership and not just succumbing to almost the victim mentality of, oh, I'm just a leaf and I just float around and just like giving up basically on no, you can land somewhere, you can grow your roots and you can still sway around, you can still try things out. Like it's not like you're set in stone and you can never move again. And
yeah.
it's then obviously also like to take the action and to grow into that space and to make it happen. And I actually, what I often do with clients as well, when we set goals, I will always ask, so, okay, if this is your biggest goal, right? What would be the cherry on top just to get them dream even bigger, even further? And then some completely other things come up. And I'm just like, wow, I can actually see you doing that. And the cool thing is, and obviously in coaching, I'm sure you experience that as well, is when you see that shift in the client, when they start believing that too,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they can see themselves actually living and being in that big goal and making it reality.
Yeah. I love that. And, what you talk specific about, seeing that shift, because it's so noticeable.
Yeah.
You can see it in their eyes. You see it like in their body language. You see it,
Hmm.
like you hear it in their voice, and it's giving themselves permission to dream. Like, gosh, could I? Like, could I
Yeah.
do that? Like, is that like possible? And in just allowing that possibility, it creates a whole new reality. What's the reality without the cake? What's the reality without you just help them create this reality that wasn't available to them.
Yes.
And it's so powerful, and it's incredible working with someone, that, truly sees you for being
Mm.
incredibly resourceful and creative, and empowered to take charge. It's really, really special. Yeah, seeing that. And
Yeah.
I want to also acknowledge, like you said, I think feeling like a leaf blowing here and there is actually a beautiful thing, that you have noticed you are feeling like a leaf,
Yeah.
in here and there. That's the first step. That's the self-awareness that it takes to be like, gosh, yes, I'm just going here and there. Because, the opposite, or not the opposite, or the stage even before that could be, you're just on autopilot. You don't even
Mm.
know where you're not going, or where you're going, or, and that's quite hard, and it can lead to, and it has, for so many people, definitely for me, I know it led to, periods of burnout and
Yeah.
anxiety, and it takes so much longer to get out of those places, and just noticing, and that comes from, from that self-awareness.
Mm.
To know
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
I love that because I always say like self-awareness is literally the first
Yeah.
step. You can't change what you don't know about. And if you want to get out of the situation because you have maybe like this lingering feeling like something isn't right, but you need to look inward to really put the finger on it and say, it's because I don't have goals, because I'm floating around, because I'm on autopilot, I'm not present. And then once you have this awareness, you can say what you want to be different. And then obviously you can take the action and make it a priority and say, no, this is what I want to work towards now.
Yeah.
Right. What would you say are your top tips to identify those priorities, as well as to then sticking to them when it comes to the execution, so that you finally also reach that goal?
Yeah, I think that's a really tricky one, and everyone is going to be different in terms of, and that's where it comes back to self-awareness, knowing how I show up, what works best
Mm-hmm.
for me in terms of when I set a goal, how I hold myself accountable. Do I work well under pressure? Do I need loads of time? Do I need to give myself treats? At the end of it, like completing something, that's what awareness and understanding how you tick like is really important, not just to necessarily to go along with it, but also change it. But I
Mm.
think some tips that could probably be helpful for everybody. First, it is the identifying, so again, coming back to what are your values, what's truly a meaning
Mm.
important to you, what brings you joy and fulfillment, what makes you feel alive, like this thing you want to do, like how are you going to feel when you've achieved it? How will you know if you've achieved it? Because often by the time you get there, your goals shifted and you
Mm.
don't even celebrate getting there. So, right, identifying that exactly how you want to feel, how will you know you have it, what will it give you, who will you like, how you're going to be showing up differently, like that double clicking into every answer to find out the real meaning and the real picture and the bigger why, like we mentioned at the beginning. So that's absolute key to anything. And I think with time and priority, there's, that's a big bucket, I think. And, you mentioned at the beginning this post that I did recently, which is
Yes.
incredibly powerful reframe. It can feel like a slap in the face. But I think the point is like, we talk about time management, like we don't manage time, like time exists. We manage ourselves around the time that we have. And I
Yes.
think that's a really powerful shift in perspective. And if you think about, we think ourselves as moving through time, like we're not, like we're just here and time is going. Like this second that passed is my choice how I use it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's gone. So shifting that to I own my time. And I totally appreciate that as a mum, it is difficult. Um, you do have other priorities and things get thrown out the window in your plans and things come up. And I often watch, sometimes like on Instagram or anyone talking about, oh, it's so important to have a morning routine and you get up and you do your
Mm.
journaling, this and you do that. And I'm like, yeah, you don't have kids.
Yes.
That is true, but it's also a story I tell myself.
Yes.
Yeah, because it is hard, but I can also choose to get up a little bit earlier. And it's not going to be possible all the time, but maybe twice a week I can get up at 6, which is late enough for some people, but
Yeah.
it's
For
early
me,
for
that would be sleeping in.
exactly. I can't believe you were in the gym at 5:50. Like that's 5 o'clock. That's just too much. But I think that's the point, right? It's understanding yourself and understanding that priority, understanding what your circumstances are and being kind to yourself. So and then they're coming back to that shift of, instead of saying I don't have time, because it's a very quick reason and
Mm.
excuse, sometimes a genuine reason, but over a period of time, I don't have time doesn't stick, and for you to assess whether do you genuinely not have time or is this not a priority? It's just a simple language shift instead of saying, oh, I don't have time to do the dishes. It's not a priority for me to do the dishes. If that lands and yeah, it's genuinely not a priority, then take it like I don't know, get a dishwasher, like, or take
Yes.
this or delegate or like do it at different time. Like it's this reframe is able to take off the pressure and genuinely identify that as not a priority for you. But then equally, if it's something like, you're really struggling with your job and you hate it and you like struggle to get up every morning. I don't have time to do my CV because I'm so busy because my work takes so much out of me and then I just want to sleep or whatever. But if you shift that to my career is not a priority, feel like a slap in the face. Like, is
Yes.
true. And if it's not true, then shift your priorities and rearrange. And things may not happen overnight, but it's a different perspective, a different way of looking at it to to help you feel empowered. Actually, this is a priority.
Yes.
So how can I make this a priority? And that comes on to the very important point about the priorities is anything that's not a priority, delete, get rid of it. Because when we want to do things, we want to set goals, we just add to the pile, but we don't remove anything. And then, of course, we're feeling overwhelmed. So if I'm going to do this thing and I want to make it a priority, how can I make it a priority? So, what are the things that are draining me or taking my time or not important that I can remove from my schedule or remove from my habits? Because otherwise, it's just another thing to do, and that's why sometimes people just feel overwhelmed in setting goals. I just genuinely don't have time.
Yeah.
Um, and I think another really practical and helpful tool when there is so much going on, there's a really helpful quadrant that I use with clients. As you may be familiar with the Eisenhower matrix, which is
Ah,
just
yes, yes. I love that. I
you
use
know
that too.
what's urgent, what's important, and you've got four quadrants, and then where you've got stuff that's urgent and important, it just needs to get done.
Mhm.
Maybe it's time bound, it's a deadline, there's a consequence if it doesn't get done. And then equal on the other side, there's stuff that's not urgent and it's not important. So does it even need to be on your list? So that's a really
Exactly.
powerful visual way of just when you've got need to do a brain dump and it helps you prioritize and focus. So identify what's meaningful, the time and priority shifts. And the last one I'll say is accountability.
Mm.
So sharing your goals with someone that's supportive, not judging,
Yes,
is
that's
really
important.
important. And I think the fact of saying it out loud, you're making a commitment to yourself as well, as opposed to it just being in your mind. So voicing it to help you stay accountable. That can be a friend, it could be a professional, and that's really helpful, but it could just be a friend or a journal or a commitment of any kind. So those would be there's so many things. And also get to know yourself, like what
Mm.
works for you. Like what's worked really well in the past, what
Mhm.
stopped. And yeah, what do you want to do different? Yeah.
What I wanna add on to that is also very often people think if they make it a priority, they have to like spend hours on it, or they
Mm,
have to change their whole life around. Like, okay, you want to have a better morning routine, but then they're like, okay, I need to do now, I need to do journaling, as you say, in the morning. I need to exercise in the morning. I need to, I don't know, make a green smoothie in the morning. I need to do this, and this. And they just overwhelm themselves with so much extra stuff because they think, oh, this is the perfect morning routine.
yeah.
But instead of just like changing a whole life around, okay, you can go for it if you know you can stick to it, cool, do it. But if not, there is no shame in breaking it down in like such small actionable steps. And
Mm,
one super amazing trick I learned the other day is to set yourself a timer for 2 minutes. In those 2 minutes, whatever your goal is, you read, you do some stretching, you do some exercise,
yeah.
you, I don't know, drink water, you clean up, you do the dishwasher, you do the laundry, you have a quick shower, or you put a little bit of makeup on, whatever it is that you normally say, or you work on your CV, like whatever you feel like you normally don't have the time, just time yourself for 2 minutes and do the thing. I timed myself the other day and timed myself reading. And I was like, I read 4 pages.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
great. Like, I don't
Yeah.
need to read more in the
Yeah.
morning. Like, 4 pages, great. I did some reading today. Better than
I,
nothing.
I love that, Josie. And I think that's the empowering as well. Because I think
Yeah.
the one thing that's like really important about setting goals is if you've read sorry, I forgot the name of that book. Power of Habit? Is it Power of No, Atomic
Atomic
Habit.
Habits.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I love that book.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my Bible.
If you read Atomic Habits, he talks about that James Clear talks about this. There's the identity layer.
Mm,
If you are trying to do something and I suffered with this a long time. Like I'm the kind of person that doesn't finish stuff.
mhm.
I have this identity. I start and then I don't finish. Like I see myself as that. So when I start something and then I don't finish, I'm not punishing myself because that's who I am. That's what I do anyway. But So changing that identity of yourself, like talking about
Mhm.
yourself, because if that's what you want to change, then talk about yourself in a different way. Go in front of the mirror and say, I'm the kind of person that gets shit done. I'm the kind of person that sees things through. And yes, that's just an affirmation. But if at the same time you're taking steps to make that change, like that makes it more powerful.
Exactly.
And I think also, like, I am all for, and we talked about this, like dreaming big, don't hold yourself small, play big. But when there are certain habits, the kind of entrenched habits that you're trying to change, like we do have recurring voices and unhelpful
Mhm.
voices. Like whenever you're trying to make change, it'll be like an alarm bell, like
Yeah,
sound.
they go
So
off.
yeah, and like, so what is the number one consistent step you can take? And this is actually really good advice I got from the kind of the fitness industry, that they're like, oh, go all out if you want to lose, X amount of weight or whatever. Like, actually, you want a diet or a fitness regime that is
Mhm.
consistent to you, and you want that to become part of your lifestyle. So what is, or for me, like, it's like, okay, if I want to get really active on, connect with clients on social media, like, oh, posting 7 times, like that is never going to happen for me. So for me, what is the number one step that feels that I could, it's a little bit of a push, it's
Mhm.
not what I do
Mhm.
now, but I can do consistently. And then once you're doing that, it's not that the thing becomes easier, you become better at it. And then what is the next step? So it's also okay for, in breaking that into small steps, for you to give yourself the grace with whatever else is going on, in your life, to take those small steps, because um that makes it feel less overwhelming, like you talked about it earlier, and more achievable.
Mhm.
That in itself will boost your confidence and motivation and creates a different cycle. You're like, oh, I completed this. Oh, I can do this. And in that in itself can create a different identity, a different view of yourself in relation to that topic. And it's a helpful cycle that you can then build on.
Absolutely. Because you're like collecting proof, right, that you can
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it. Like, and it's one proof at a time. It's not like doing this massive overhaul and being then overwhelmed and scared by it. No, it's like today I do this and then I do it again and then I do it again. There's like, oh shit, I actually can do this. Like, it's not that hard. And you could collect also proof that you can trust yourself in the process and
Yeah.
that you can do it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's so important, because when you're pushing yourself and you're trying to do something different, that trust in yourself, like you're
Yeah.
showing to yourself, you're proving to yourself, yeah, I can do this. And and
Mm.
I did it. That's incredibly powerful in motivating you with, whatever's next, and celebrating what you have accomplished. Because, like we talked about before, like part of us is always changing the target.
Hmm.
We're not clear on what we wanted to achieve. When we get there, there's no place or space to celebrate or to realize I'm living what I wanted a year ago, 5 years ago, 3 months ago. You're just looking for the next target, and there's no appreciation. And that's really exhausting. So, yeah, I love what you said about that appreciation and trust in yourself. It's incredibly important.
It's so important, and and also as you say, like just a part of celebrating it and giving yourself some like give yourself a pat on the back. Like,
Yes.
damn, you have done so much hard work. Like, pat yourself on the back. Like, girl, you've done the hard work. You show up every day and you build the trust and you do the action. You put in the work to reach your goal. You prioritize, it, and that does deserve recognition.
Mm,
We get
mm,
so caught up, I feel like, in this world where we need to do more and more and more, and
mm.
like everything is like the pace, everything happens like so fast, but it's so valuable to just take the time. It doesn't need to be a whole day. You don't need to throw a birthday party. I mean, if you want to do so, but but you can also just like take 5 minutes and reward yourself with a meditation, with like your favorite cup of tea, and then you listen to your favorite song and having this moment of zen, if that's your vibe. Open a bottle of champagne and pop some bubbles and celebrate yourself that way. Like, it can be the little things that just spark that moment of joy in you where like, I've done well.
Yeah, yeah.
I've
And I
done really well.
love that. And I don't think most of us are like used to doing that, because we're always
Mm.
chasing the next thing.
Yeah.
And it sounds indulgent. It sounds like this part of us is always like, but that's not good enough, but that's not what you wanted, but this didn't go to plan. Like, there's so many buts, and it's like, yes, 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 all of that, and I still get to celebrate the step that I
Exactly.
it's compounding things, it's taking the little step, whatever that is, and yeah, celebrate yourself. It's yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the balance between the masculine energy, which is like obviously the structure, the action taking, the getting shit done, but also the feminine of receiving, being in the moment, being in the flow. And as soon as you combine that, that's where
Mhm.
you hit that sweet spot
Yeah.
where it just feels like everything comes like into place and it like fits so well together. You're like, you're falling in love with the process when that happens
Mm.
because you're not just forcing yourself through it and hating every second of it and you're actually like taking the time to enjoy it, to love it, and be like, actually, this is now part of my identity, this is part of my day to day, this is part of my routine, this is who I am. And
Yeah.
that's what then obviously creates your new reality.
I think that's a really important point, because I think with change, we kind of expect to see like an overnight shift, or
Hmm.
kind of accept, oh, when I get the thing or when I become the thing, like I'm just gonna feel different and it's gonna be like this whole shebang. And it's actually not. Like, it's the small things, as the gradual things that we do, and particularly with mindset, and like
Hmm.
particularly with setting goals about yourself, and mindset is, I don't know, like, I don't know about you, but like, I feel like I look back and I'm like, I look back on a situation or an interaction or how I dealt with the situation, and it was just different. Like, looking back to
Hmm.
how I would have reacted to something like this maybe 5 years ago. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's just different. Like, your brain and your body, and you just operate differently because of
Hmm.
those little things you've put in
Yeah.
throughout your life, and you're changing. So it's not like an overnight, oh, I'm gonna do this differently. Like,
Hmm.
it's so subtle, but it's so powerful when you're able to look back and go, "Oh, yeah, how I've grown,
Hmm.
how I'm different, and look what I still want to achieve." But celebrating what's here is so powerful. Yeah.
Hmm. Absolutely. Do you
Yeah.
have like in your own experience like a specific mindset shift that you have worked through or that has helped you to change your life for the better and also like reach your goals? Or maybe is there something that you're working on right now for your future goals?
Yeah, I think, I mean, there's just so many, and again, it's like everyone has to go their own journey, and there's so many books that you can read and so many
Hmm.
podcasts that you can listen to, but it's like putting that into action is what will give you results. I think for me, two things that really helped. One is gratitude.
Mm.
I'm a big fan of, like, just words, like the words you use changes your relationship with the thing. And just choosing different words or choosing to reframe something can completely shift your experience. And, you know, for me, like, display on gratitude by just saying, I get to do this, is incredibly powerful and instantly, like, changing. Sometimes with my daughter, like, she always had trouble sleeping, and it was just very difficult, sleep deprived, and working,
Mhm.
very demanding M&A job in the US, like working all the hours, and I had to, be with her, and she's still breastfeeding at like almost 3 years old. And it was just so hard. And sometimes I was in bed with her and I just didn't want to be there. Like, I had things to do.
Mm.
And we're always and I'm getting I can feel myself
Yeah.
remember, and the shift of, I get to do this. I get to have a daughter. I get to have a daughter that wants me to be next to her.
Yeah.
I get to have a daughter and for us to be safe in our home. I get to want to go back to, to have a daughter, but I get to be that I get to. I find just such a powerful shift on gratitude, because it's not, oh, I'm grateful for this. It's like, you get to have this. Oh, I can't be bothered to go to the gym. You get to go to the gym. You get to afford a gym. You get to live in a country where you can just
Mhm.
get up and go to the gym and not having to live through, all sorts of atrocities and things. You get to want to do this for yourself. And that changes because it's your choice. You get to do it, and it's up to you whether you do it or not. But I have to. And I get it. I'm like that all the time. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
I can't. Yes. And you also get to do it. So it's a choice.
exactly.
So that's incredibly powerful. And it's just instant. And I use it all the time
Mm,
whenever I remember. When I'm particularly frustrated or annoyed, because you don't want to be where you are, and it's just changing that. And the other
mhm,
one that I'll mention is just having a growth mindset, particularly, I changed careers, and I used to look at having burnout and having depression and having that period of, times were really hard. I just to look at that as a failure. Like, how could I have just stopped working? Like, as in,
mhm,
I physically stopped working. Like, I just broke. Like, I just used to see things as failures. And actually, the growth mindset, as you know, is actually looking at experiences. What can I learn from this, and what can I grow from this? And I don't actually like using the word failure just because it's so heavily loaded.
mm. Yes, it's
And just
tainted.
looking at experiences, what did that experience have to teach me? And I appreciate that when we go through challenging things in the moment, you can't see the gift in this, and I can't see how this is going to help me, but it's happening. So what can
Mhm.
I do about this? Right now, what can I do? What can I be? Or how can I just, let it be? And in time is, what did I learn? And having that self-compassion, for yourself, that we're all humans and we're all just trying to do our best. So yeah,
That's
I
so
think
true.
gratitude and the growth mindset is like it's incredibly important. Yeah. And
Mm,
it allows the growth mindset just allows you to approach challenges with more resilience and perseverance. And actually, one of the things that I will say about failure is it's okay to quit. And quitting isn't the same as failure. I mean, this deserves a whole probably
yes,
episode
that's
on
like
its own at some point.
that's its own episode, like about also because obviously like you quit also like your previous job, right? And that's also connected to like almost giving up on that previous dream you had or those ideas and those goals. But through quitting, you readjusted
Yeah.
and you found this new goal that actually is so much more aligned with who you truly are and the impact you can have and want to have.
Yeah, is the gift in that. I know, quitting is equal to failing, and you don't quit, you just persevere and you just keep going through, and you get up and you go again, and yes to all of that if it's truly aligned with what you
Hmm.
want, because doing the things that light you up as a career or as a, like, it's also hard.
Yes,
There's a reason for it, right? There's a reason, and you feel on purpose and you feel aligned and you're giving back and you're helping other people see, kind of reconnect with it, their power and their strength and what's important to them. So those are two different things. And that's the difference in quitting. That's not
hmm,
failing. So I think that's also, with the growth mindset, kind of being part of that, like seeing what I've quit for a reason and what is the gift and what is given me now, where I am now. And I get to do this kind of work, and it's incredibly
absolutely.
rewarding. So, yeah, it's okay to quit.
It totally is.
Sometimes you should. Sometimes
Sometimes you need to. Sometimes you
yeah.
need to so you can actually realign and readjust.
Mm.
And I love what you also say with the reframe about like, I get to do this versus I have to do this. And I feel like that reframe or shift in perspective is really what the growth mindset is. And I have a quote literally here on my laptop, and it just says, when you change how you look at things, the things you look at change.
Mm. Oh my god.
And yes, and
Yeah.
to me, that's growth mindset. It's being open to change. It's being open to adapt and to grow with it and to just reframe whatever is happening around you. If you say to you, but in the end, it always turns out actually burnout was the best thing that ever happened to me. Actually,
Mm.
the lessons I learned from this toxic relationship were the best things I've ever learned in terms of like how to be in a relationship, because now I am in this amazing relationship, right?
Mm.
At first, yes, always it feels shit. You don't want to be in that situation. It's just, ugh. But then afterwards, you're like, hang on, this was actually needed. Like, I'm
Yeah.
glad this happened.
Yeah. And I think with that as well, it's like in the period of you're going through the shit.
Yes.
Yes, it's hard. And of course, at that point, whatever's happening, like maybe you have a really, maybe it's not a good relationship or not a good job or whatever's happening to you. So sometimes, like when you're going through a shitty period, whether that's work or relationships, whatever that's related, it's like we don't want to accept it and we don't
Mhm.
want to admit it. But another quote that it's not a quote, it's just a phrase that I love. It's like, what you resist persists. It's like the moment
Mm.
you're, I
Yeah.
know this isn't good, but I don't want it. I don't like you have to accept because it is what it is. And then what do you want to do about it? What do you want to do with it? And sometimes what you do with it or about it is nothing. Sometimes you just be. Because we talk about, and that's the other thing, we talk a lot about goals, and that's about
Mhm.
doing what you want to do. But actually, often we set goals because we want to feel differently. You want a new job because you want more autonomy, you want more be around visionary people, you
Yes.
want to be more values. Like, what do you want to be like? Like, how do you want to feel? And sometimes just the being, focusing on the being, like this shitty situation is happening. Like, okay, there's nothing I can do about it right now, and it will pass, hopefully, at some point. How can I be with myself? How can I be compassionate with myself or those around me that may be involved, in a situation? Like, who can I be? Who can I be? What is a part of me that I can bring forward? Whether that's compassion or gratitude, acknowledgement, appreciation. And I think that's an important point around goal setting is the being, the person that you
Mm.
want to be when you achieve that. Like,
Exactly.
so
Who are you becoming? That's
yeah.
also the other part of it. During the process, like, who are you becoming? Who do you want to be? And that's where also this identity shift comes in, that also obviously James Clear talks about in his book, right? So it all like fits together so nicely in terms of what we discussed today. I'm so happy that we talked about this and that you took the courage and came on the show.
Oh, absolute pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah. So this last segment, I would love to ask you some fire round of questions if you're up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay. Before we do so, tell me please a number between 1 and 10.
5.
Nice in the middle. So I will be asking you 5 questions.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So these questions, again, only answer them with one word or a short sentence. You can take, but you can
Yeah,
take as much time as you need to. So it's not like you need to like just fire them out if you want to do so.
okay.
Ready?
I'll try not to overthink it. Go for it.
Yeah. Whatever comes first, whatever your intuition tells you, put it out there. What is the Bruna way of living and leading your best life?
Oh my, what a question. Um, to me, it's about joy. Like, and that sounds so cheesy.
No, not at all.
It
Don't let the
hurts coming
saboteurs
out of my
go.
mouth. I get it. But the point to me is like, appreciating the small things and finding the fun, like having fun is so important to me.
Mm,
Like, I remember I did this exercise, a coaching exercise, which I'm sure you're familiar with, about billboard.
yes.
To me, it was a meme. It's like helping connect with people through fun and play and being vulnerable. So it's like the joy of having fun. So I think humor is really
Hmm.
important. I think it allows for connection quite easily with people, and I think British have their number one, it's so self-deprecating, which is not a great trait to have, but
Yeah.
it can make you, particularly with speaking, like just more approachable, and people feel, oh, you're just like another person. So yeah, I think I try to do that, in my work with clients, and or actually just how I go about in the world and having fun. It's yeah, I think humor and fun and
Hmm.
play, just this is serious work, but it doesn't have to be serious. It can be
Yes.
playful and it can be fun, and it's a big deal to like, I want to work with a coach and I want to change. Like, it's a big deal to do that, and I like to
Hmm.
make it fun, like make it
Exactly. It's
light.
already hard work. Like, make it
Play.
nice and like that you enjoy the work actually, and rather than hating on it. I
Yeah,
love
have
that.
fun. Yeah.
Second question. When shit hits the fan, what do you tell yourself to get through
Ugh.
it?
It's okay. I think that's my go-to.
Mm.
And it's so funny because some like my my daughter, she's 4, and obviously they're just little sponges, they just absorb everything,
Yeah.
and I always try to be quite careful with even with things like, oh, when they spill something and it's really annoying, it's like, "Oh, it's okay, it's just water, it's just we just clean it up." And one day I did like, happens all the time, but I did something, I dropped something, I made a whatever it was, and like, as like a grunt of frustration,
Mhm.
she went, "Mummy, it's okay, we just clean it up."
Aw.
And I felt so great and so, like, I've won today.
Mhm.
I've been able to hopefully she carries that on for life. It's like
Yes.
everything has a way of, sorting things out. So I think it's just like, it's okay. Like, we can fix it. Like, I'm very resourceful.
Mm.
One of my imaginary boardroom members is MacGyver. I was just always
Mhm.
a massive fan, of
I love that.
the series growing up, and I just loved it. Like, he just does everything. Sorry, I forgot this was meant to be like
That's okay, you're doing it the Bruna way.
I know. I just realized this is meant to be like quick round. I think right, so I'll answer that again. Okay, so it's okay, and I invite my imaginary boardroom member MacGyver because I know I'm incredibly resourceful and creative, and I have the tools and the skills to
Mm.
make things work or sort it out.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love that.
use that one. That was shorter.
I use both. I love them both. Right, third question. What is your key habit for success?
Oh my good. I think for me, what has been working well, it's journaling.
Mm.
And that sounds so simple. And there's part of me and part of all of us listen to this like, no, it needs to be something really complex. It needs to be like,
Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes simple is
yeah,
best.
yeah, just simple. For me, making a habit of like at least once a week, or when an insight comes up or something comes up, because I'm able to look back
Mm.
on my growth and I'm able to just let it all out. That's actually how it feels. That's actually what's going on. That's really the problem here, not this thing, but all this thing all the way down here. So it gives me visibility into what's really
Mm.
there, and bringing my guy or whoever else, Yeah, so I think journaling is so underrated, like can be underestimated, it's incredibly powerful and it's like a safe place for you to be clear about what's important to you and move forward. Process what's
Mm.
happening. Move forward.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Like, sign me up.
Good.
Journaling really is something very, very powerful. And it doesn't, I always say, like, it doesn't need to be something crazy. It can literally be 3 sentences a day. It can be you just write down what you're grateful for. It can be in the evening before bed, 5 minutes, dumping down whatever is still on your mind. That's already journaling. It's not that you have to always, obviously, it can help, but you don't have to always dive deep into very specific questions
Yeah.
and go bonkers.
Yeah.
It
And
can be simple.
I think that's a really important point because whatever we choose to then do, like the point you mentioned earlier, like, oh, you just have to go all out and I have to do this every day. And I
Mm,
have, like, you don't have to, it's what works for you. And
exactly.
this week I was doing just like a 15-minute yoga and the online, and the instructor said something about, it was like a morning flow, and she said something,
Mhm.
know the difference between trying your best and trying your hardest. And I was like, oh my god, she's like, when you try your hardest you're kind of blinded with just going for it. When you try your best, you're
Mm,
open to what's it. So I finished that and I journaled all that. I wrote that down because I had to write it down, and I maybe wrote, like, I spent 2 minutes,
mhm.
but that was powerful, and, and it's coming up now, like, he made me remember it. So, yeah, it doesn't have to be, like, this big thing, but having an outlet
Exactly.
that is yours and is safe and is non-judgmental for you to use, and it's cheap and accessible and so powerful.
Mm, it is. Right, number 4, question number 4. Because we already talked about a book, I will skip that one because we already kind of have a recommendation of a book. But what advice would you love to give the listeners?
Oh gosh, that's a you and your big question.
It's my job.
Sign of a good coach, guys, when the person's done at the end of the at the end of the line. I think I'll answer this with one word, which I'll have to then go on, but reconnect.
Mm,
You know, when we feel stuck or when we're frustrated and we're unfulfilled and like we're happy with our jobs or our relationship, whatever it is, like, and we just don't know what to do about it. We don't know what to do next, and you hate your job, but you don't know what you want. Actually, you do, but you need help to figure it out. You know, when
mm,
working with someone to help through that, someone that has the tools and has the guides, you know, the work is reconnecting you with what's important to you. There's some really fun ways of doing that. Like you have your whole life experience behind you and your wants and your desires. So I think reconnect and reignite, like just that
mhm.
reconnect essence is life changing. Oh, pause at that.
It is. It really is. Okay, last question. What is the theme song of your life?
Oh my God, this is too hard because I am so into music. I have
Mhm,
so many playlists for all sorts of moods, but one that is I'm gonna have to look it up on my playlist because I was listening to something came in here. The person I'm in love with at the moment is Fia, Fia. I can share
mhm.
the
FI4.
as an artist. Her name is Fia.
Mm. It doesn't ring a bell actually, so I need to look that up.
Oh my God, Josie, you will love her. So her songs, her lyrics are about transformational personal.
Mhm.
It's
Yep,
incredible.
that sounds like right up my street.
Yeah, so I would say oh my God, again, I can't choose one of her songs, but I would say Time for Greatness is pretty special.
Mm,
To when I need that instant reconnection with my greatness and my power. So, but I
mm.
have so many more, and it feels a dishonor to them to not honor them. But
This is the perfect one. And I just have to say, I'm so grateful for your time today and for sharing your greatness today as well. And your wisdom, obviously, with everybody. It was such a good chat, and there's so many nuggets in there. And you did so well. I'm so proud of you.
it's an absolute pleasure to be here. It's been so fun as always. Just like it just feels like a conversation that
Yeah, exactly.
we had a topic and we're not just like jumping around, which is also super fun. So thank you for having me.
Of
And
course.
yeah, so inspired and proud to be here and you know the work that you do and help reach more people. Just feel empowered and maybe yeah, it is time for greatness. Yeah.
Exactly. It is time for greatness. And at this point, also to all the listeners, if you do want to connect with Bruna, obviously all the details will be in the description box below. So do say hi to her, show her some love. Is there anything like from your side, like left to say that you want to put out in the open to feel complete? You know the drill.
Yes. No, just I'm just it's been a really fun experience. It's the first time I've been a guest at podcast, and it's felt really fun. And you know, it's a chat with a friend. Josie, you're an amazing friend, host, and you know, coach, and all round great human being. Yeah, it's just a real pleasure to be here and to be in the ears of your, you know, of your audience. And yeah, like if anyone wants to connect, like, I just love meeting new people, like meaningful connections, so important. And I love talking and I love having a chat about all these kinds of topics. So just thank you for having me. It's been really fun.
No, thank you so much. My heart is singing right now and overflowing with gratitude and love for you. This was truly an amazing conversation. And I can't wait for the listeners to dive into this. So thank you so much. And to all the listeners, I see you next week again with another episode on Monday. So see you then. Bye.
Hi. That was amazing. So is this it for today? For you,
Yep.
podcast wise, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm not
Yes,
gonna record
hopefully.
anything. My cheeks, literally. I think I need to do some face yoga today.